So hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to go through the new aggregation feature that the Power BI team released on the desktop update September 2018. Okay, all that in just a second. So hello and welcome. My name is Ruth Pozuelo from Curbal.com, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how the new aggregation feature works for the Power BI desktop. And this aggregation feature is basically or mainly when you have a lot of data and you're having query performance issues. Otherwise, you normally import the data and you forget all about it. But if that is not the case for you, if you have a lot of data, I mean, you have to compromise, right? So this is something that Christian Wade, is a program manager at Microsoft, shows all the time. And he writes, you know, if you have big data, you want to have data freshness and query performance. And here you have to balance the thing. So if you want to have big data and data freshness, you have direct query. But both direct query and import have some query performance issues. Okay, so this is the part that has been unsolved for many vendors, not just for Microsoft. If you want to have data freshness and query performance, this is absolutely no issue because you can schedule refresh, and with incremental loads is even better if you have premium capacity. If you don't, you still have the issue. So big data with data freshness is direct query. Big data and query performance is an issue depending on how much data you have. So if you have a lot of data, you could only do direct query, nothing else. Import was not possible. And then this data freshness is something that Microsoft has been working with it. And with incremental refresh, you have no issue anymore. So what does this aggregation thing? Well, it is doing things in here. So it is allowing big data to be queried quickly. How does it do it? Well, that's what this video is about. So what I've done, I did not have a dataset that I could share with you, and it's not big data that I could share and not direct query that I could share. So what I did is I took the Northwind dataset that is available for everybody, and I just downloaded it into an SQL locally, and then I put it back into Power BI as a direct query. So what I will not do for you guys, it was a nightmare to set this up. Seriously, it was hard because the calendar was made in Power Query, and if you have import, we'll get to that. But the thing is, if we go here, let's put that aside. If we go to Power Query, here we have categories, products. You know this data set, right? We've talked about it. We have category, products, customers. We have, now I've put together the orders and the order details table in here. If you don't know the Northwind database, don't worry. You don't need to. What I have here is a list of orders. And as you can see, the order ID is repeated because one order ID can have multiple products. Nothing weird there, right? It's always the same thing in this type of data sets. So I have a big orders table. It is actually not that big. I check it out, and if we check order big, and then we execute it, orders, I think it is. It is 4,310, but imagine that is 2 more zeros. It's like, I don't know, no, not 2 more, a few more. Imagine that is 40 million rows. So if you want to query that, it is going to be an absolute nightmare. So what this aggregation table does is it allows you to, exactly what the name says, you aggregate the tables. You make them available in another granularity so they can be queried when possible instead of going back to the big table. To understand this video better, I really recommend you to watch the Composite models video I did the dual storage video I did, and the many-to-many video I did, because it all relates to this. Those 3 functions were released in the August update, and they lead to these. This is what I guess the major thing they've been trying to release for us. But everything is, related to each other, and I won't be able to do the other videos. I will explain it a little bit, but if you want to get a better understanding, just go to those videos first and then come back here, because it will give you a better understanding of what all that stuff is. So we have imported our tables. Let's forget the aggregated table for now. Okay. That doesn't exist. We're going to create it. Kind of. I want to show you how it is created, actually. So this is how it looks. We have orders, we have a calendar, customers, products, and categories. Nothing weird there. And then if you remember for the when I showed dual storage, check that video out. There are now 3 types of storage. You have import, direct query, and dual. And all of these are set as dual. I actually was hoping not to import the calendar and leave it in Power Query, but I couldn't. Let me show you why very, very quickly. And this is related to the videos that I was talking about. I don't know if you remember this, but I created on the dual storage video a table to be able to remember when Power Query or Power BI will force me to do a many-to-many relationships. Many-to-many relationships, you want to avoid them, check the video out. And, you have to remember which combinations are valid. So this is how I remember it. I will do it again in case you haven't seen it or you don't remember it. So what I did is I created a table, a matrix, and then I started from the least restrict to the highest restriction, which in this case it would be from the many side. I go from import to dual to direct query. So that is the level of restrictions you would have with the different storage. And this is from the one side, the same thing. We start with the less to the more. And then what I remember, I'm a visual person, is that this works like that. And that, perhaps it's like, you probably can find a better system than this. This works for me, basically. The point, it means that this is a one-to-many relationships. Where it's blank, where there's nothing, or you could write like blue dots if that helps you. That is where Power Pivot or Power BI will force you to a many-to-many relationship, something that you don't want. So when I had my import calendar here, and then I wanted to put a relationship with the order table, which it was a direct query. What do you think Power Query told me? It's like, no, you will have to have a many-to-many relationship, and I don't want to have it. So I had to import the calendar into Power Query, into the SQL database too. And then when you're doing that with an R script, you can't import dates because they get imported directly, and then I will have to change it. It was a mess. It was an absolutely mess. But you have to remember this. You have to remember which combinations are valid to avoid many-to-many relationships. Use them only if you know what you're doing. You've been warned. Okay. So what we have at the moment is direct query, direct query, direct query. Everything is direct query. Now, there is new mode, you have the import, you have the direct query, we have them all the time, but now there's a dual mode. The dual mode, if you remember for the video, go check it out. What it does is it allows Power Query to decide how to do it. Okay, so if I set, for example, the categories, the category is a very small table, it's like 10 rows. If I set it as a dual, then Power Query or Power BI will decide, I want to ask the source for this because I have to go there anyway, or no, I'm going to use the cached version of it, the version that the imported version of it. And it will do it automatically. You don't have to worry about it. You don't even have to think about it. And that is a great, great feature. Now, I would have imported it, but if you import something with direct query, doesn't work. So you have to set it to dual. There's no other way. So, slow changing tables, that means tables that stay the same almost all the time. Like, if your product development cycle is not very big, maybe you get 1-2 products a year, that's a slow changing table. Hopefully your customers is not that slow, but maybe not that fast unless you're like, Spotify or something. So that perhaps qualifies also for a low changing table. You know your business best, you have to decide based on that. These ones, you can actually set as dual. And then it says, this operation will refresh the table. So I explain all that on the dual storage. Go check it out. And we set that to dual. We can set the customer tables to dual, for example, too. And it will still allow for a one-to-many relationship, which is what we want. Great. Okay, so what is this aggregating table thing? The thing with aggregations, so an aggregation is basically you are grouping the data by something, and by doing that grouping, you're making it smaller. I use that on Google Analytics a lot because, you run into also sampling issues. What Google Analytics did when you hit a lot of data, they just sampled your data. So I'm giving you the best of your data, or, samples. I'm giving you a set of data that represents the entire table. But, unless you're very familiar with sampling and you know what Google Analytics are, you might not want that. So you might prefer to aggregate tables to make them smaller. And that's basically what aggregation is. I'm going to show you in Power Query how an aggregation would look like. But of course, to make this work, you have to import it from SQL, otherwise it makes no sense. Okay? So we go back to Power Query. And this is our orders big table. And if you remember, we have for one order ID, you can have it there. Let me delete that. For, you see there that you have one order ID 3 times, and that is because we have, for that order ID, we have 3 products. And let's say that we don't normally go into product detail, or there are a lot of queries when you talk about customers, when you talk about year over year, and there are a lot of calculations that you just don't go into that level, then you can actually group this table and make it smaller. Let me show you how it would be done in Power Query. Again, you don't do this in Power Query, you do it in the source and then you import the table, okay? I've already done that. In here, you have it here, the order aggregation table. But I'm going to show you so you get an idea of how that works. And then it helps also when you are managing the aggregations later in Power Pivot. I'll show you and it will make sense. So here we have the order big, and what we want to have is a table that has the order ID, the customer ID, and the date, and nothing else. Okay? So we're going to go to add column. This is just for demos, remember. Group by, advanced, and we want to group by order ID, customer ID, and we're going to group by order date. And this is what it gets. We want to have price, and the price we want to sum unit price. So when there are multiple products, we want to have the price for the entire order, so sum everything. And the same goes for discounts. And for quantity, you do sum, and then you sum of quantity. And that will give us an aggregated table. And that is what it means. And if we go back to SQL, you're going to see that my order aggregated table, if you remember, is 4,000 for the other one. Oi. I think it's order it is 1660. So that is what it's all about. You're actually compressing your tables, making them smaller so they can be queried or imported into the model and used faster. Nothing else. It's very easy. Okay, so now that you have an understanding of what that thing is, I'm going to remove the steps because you don't do this in Power Query again. I've imported the order aggregated table is here. So you have order ID, customer ID, order date, and then you have price, discount, and quantity. And now that we have our aggregated table, we're going to import it into Power BI model. I'll show you how that works. Okay, so now here we have our order aggregated table. There are a few things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is to put the relationships between them first. Let me bring that back up. It's always with this live. It's not live, but for me it's live. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, add the relationships to the model. So the order aggregation table is related order date to date, the same way as the big table is. And then we have customer ID. Customer ID, there's absolutely nothing strange about that. And I think, I thought, what is not showing up? Okay, it is a preview feature. You have to tick it. So, yeah, I didn't do it. And probably I'll have to restart. I saved, right? Okay. So let's open it again. So remember to tick these preview features all the time, otherwise it won't work. Okay, here it is, manage aggregations. That's what I was looking for. So manage aggregations. And here you have to tell the model, Power BI, the engine, what you did, what this aggregation table is, and how it should be used. And now that you've created, we created the thing in Power Query, it's so much easier to actually know what to do here, because we've already done it once. So let me show you so you'll see. I saw a video from Christian Wade where he... Christopher Wade, where he said that the keys, you don't have to do anything, but you could do it for clarity. I think we can do it anyway. So what you have to say here to the model is what each column is, so they know how to use it in the background. So order ID is a group by, orders big, order ID, right? So we group by order ID. Customer ID is a group by orders big, customer ID, and order date is a group by orders big, order date. I can't choose it. That was weird. Okay. The price is a sum of orders big, unit price. Discount is a sum of orders big, discount, and quantity is a sum of orders big, quantity. And we've done that in Power Query. Do you remember when we grouped by? So you know now exactly how to do it. And this one, I don't know why it doesn't let me. because the kids, we don't have to, Power BI will understand it. I'll check that out later. I don't know why it didn't. If you know, as always, let me know in the comment box. Okay, so now that we have set the aggregation type for all the fields on that table, what we need to do is hide it. That's magic. That's absolutely fantastic. Okay, hide it. Why do we hide it? Because Power BI will do this behind the scenes. So this is the beauty of it. This is where everything makes absolutely sense. So now it is hidden. So if I am querying this table or this model, and I am, I don't know, the sum of the prices by customer by year, then Power BI will say, hey, I actually have an aggregated table that contains order and customer and price. And instead of using direct query to this big thing, what it's going to do is go into this small thing and do it there. And because that table is smaller, it might even have imported into the Power BI, and it will go like super, super, super quick. Now, if I would do order by product and by date, it won't be able to do it with the aggregated table. You might think, oh, it might be able to follow the relationships across. It won't. So it will go to direct query, will go back to the source, and it will, do the entire thing again. How good is that? This is actually fantastic. I think the best part of it is that it does it by its own. You don't have to worry about it. You just build the model, and then Power BI query will go behind the scenes and check this out. Now, to check that everything is working, you can use SQL Trace or DAX Studio to see if, the aggregation tables are being hit when specific queries are being made. So you can go into your model, you can see what are the most common queries, and then you can create the aggregation tables for it, and it will improve your model a lot. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really good. Now, with all that excitement and all that good news, I really think these features are fantastic if you have a lot of data. Here's the thing. Power BI started as a self-service tool. Tools for people like me, were business users, so we could easily create reports, share reports and knowledge and insights. All this stuff, which is enterprise features, makes Power BI, in my opinion, harder to learn, more difficult. It just becomes a little bit scary. It becomes to a point where a business user would say, no, I won't touch that. I'm going back to Excel. I think. I was introduced when I was a business user to integration services and reporting services. I look at that, I spend like a day or two, and I say like, no way, give me Excel. And I would hate for Power BI to go the same road. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I just wish that there was a big button that would say, enable enterprise features. And then you click on that and boom, you have composite models and all that stuff. Otherwise not. I don't know. What do you think? I would love to know what your thoughts are on these. I think Power BI is getting too many features, a bit complex features. But I hope this was useful, and let me know in the comment box so I'll know. And I'll see you again on DAX Fridays on Friday. Not sure what it will be about, but something good, hopefully. Okay, take care. Bye.